Welcome to Show, Don't Tell, a podcast by TelScreen's team of Wes Harris and Kent Harris, sharing their stories of being in the eye care industry in their unique, punny style with facilitator Christy. What got you to London? Like, what started all this? So you provided some of the equipment along with...
Plane. Yes.
Look, Charlene has already said, you guys are a mess.
She didn't hit the mute button.
Yeah.
I'm like...
First night in London, I stumbled upon Channel 4 movie sponsored by McDelivery. McDonald's Delivery. McDelivery. Yeah, all the commercials were McDelivery.
Wow.
McDelivery.
The movie was Airplane.
You picked a bad day to stop sniffing glue.
Fantastic.
A hospital? What is it? A big building filled with patients. But that's not important right now.
You're just playing with the microphones at this point.
Yes, we are. So, as you know, we follow NSU, Oklahoma College of Optometry, usually around the country, giving advanced procedures courses. Advanced procedures are, the first half of the course is suturing and injections, chalazion removal, excision, cleaning it out, eyelids, lumps and bumps, how to remove them, biopsy if necessary, etc. And the second half of the course is laser procedures, selective laser trabeculoplasty, SLT, for glaucoma treatment, YAG capsulotomy to remove a cloudy capsule after cataract surgery, and then peripheral iridotomy, poking a hole through the iris to give communication between the anterior and posterior chambers to release pressure, again, as a glaucoma.
Glaucoma treatment.
Well, not only treatment, but more of an emergency procedure typically.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this now for getting close to 10 years. I guess during COVID, the question came up, would we go to London? And I thought about that for a millisecond and said, yes, we would go to London. So the London optometrists, there's somewhere between 13 and 17,000 optometrists across some portion of UK. I'm not sure how much. Nobody really had a definitive number, but it's about 1/3 the size of the U.S. as a profession, just kind of ballpark. And about 10% of them are, as you'd expect, practicing at the very highest level, and the others at various points below that in terms of their skill, their independent prescribing, diagnosis, treatment, therapy abilities, and permissions. And so,
because in the UK they separate that out to where, kind of like your credentials, it isn't an all or nothing thing. It's a gradual thing. You gradually earn more credentials or more certificates.
But it's also similar in the U.S. For example, there's a glaucoma certification that you have to get in Texas, same in California. If you're going to treat glaucoma, you have to be independently credentialed for that. It's not enough to just have an optometry degree.
Oh, okay.
So it's similar. It's not too terribly different. The undergraduate pathway is different, but that's another side. Anyway, so the movers and shakers in UK optometry decided that it was time for some formal training, that the profession was ready to be certificated to be able to perform higher functions, including doing laser procedures as well as some minor surgical procedures, advanced procedures. So they reached out to the Oklahoma faculty. Basically, they said, if it's going to happen here, we need somebody who's far enough away that they look like an expert. And in the United States, where Oklahoma has had advanced procedures privileges for 20 plus years now, for optometry, that's the deepest experience, greatest expertise. So they said, let's get...
And they're the expert teachers as well. They've been teaching this for at least as long.
Well, starting with Kentucky in 2010-11.
Yeah.
So, a solid 10-year teaching history as well. So they reached out to Dr. Nate Lighthizer at NSU and brought up the possibility of bringing the course to London. And logistically, what would that entail? What we found is in a time of the Omicron variant on the rise, and with the background of a year and a half of COVID behind us, it meant that we had to get a pre-departure PCR test. We had to get a, quote, day 2 test after landing. Within 2 days, you have to get a second PCR test. For actually doing the course, you had to be tested every 2 days, had to have a negative lateral flow test to continue attending the course. And then to get back in the U.S., we had to have another negative PCR test within 24 hours of our flight home. So over 8 days, 4 COVID tests just to be able to participate in the course. So that added a little bit more degree of difficulty to coordinate that between all the faculty members and make sure that we were COVID approved to travel.
Okay.
So with the COVID background certainly made things a little bit more difficult, but we did manage to get there. Then the next piece is the equipment plan. So who do you have in England who can bring equipment? And there were 2 groups that they had ties to, one in Birmingham, which is a few hours northwest, and then Carleton was the other equipment supplier. So they brought in lasers, and we brought in video equipment, and basically made a course happen. So
That's still a lot. So how long was this thing in the works for them?
I have no idea when they started talking about it. I heard about it May, somewhere around May or so. Was where it became
7-8 months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
front
and
burner for us.
Yeah, you know that was not
That was not the beginning.
Yeah, it was not the beginning.
Yeah.
They don't work like I do. Oh, I have this great idea. Let's go home and figure it out. No, that's not how that works, especially if they're bringing people in from overseas to do the stuff. So it looks like you guys had an amazing response to all of this.
So we had 25 optometrists present for the course. 24 of them were definitely top of the profession. And the 25th was a young optometrist named Luke, who was student of the year, had just gotten his certificate about 2 months ago. So part of the British system is having a chain of leaders in development for anything they do. So Deacon, I think, was probably the elder statesman. He's about my age. And then Michael Johnson's a generation or 3/4 of a generation younger. And so clearly the 24 of them gave Luke essentially a scholarship to attend this session so that he would be the 20-something young guard coming up, so that they would have 3 generations of leadership at least clearly defined. And then everybody in the room, I think, is capable of being a leader in UK optometry. They're the forefront of the profession. When we did the gonioscopy lab, there was no teaching required. Every single one of them popped on, got a corneal wedge, all 4 quadrants, and then many of them brought their own lens sets with them, and so they had discussions about the various
They had a miniature
variants.
swap meet.
Yeah. What lens is that? Oh, can we try that one on? Well, let's see what it does. And then, I'd like one of those. I think I'll fit it into my set next. So these are clearly, they didn't need any education in gonioscopy, any fine-tuning of technique, anything. They were very well accomplished. They could teach that section of the course here in America, and everyone would benefit.
So how did TelScreen play into this? Like, what was your job while you were there? Did you just bring the equipment in and that was it?
So the plan ahead of time was...
That brings up, just look on the top of the board here. At some point you'll have to ask, what's a Shetler flash, what's an Elman blow, and what's Keen as
mustard? Because I was like, that's not shelter flash.
So the original equipment plan was Birmingham Opticals originally was providing 2 NIDEC lasers and a green laser. But just like everything COVID related, you're at the mercy of the supply chain. And when the time came, they only had 1 NIDEC laser that they could get their hands on. I think they actually repossessed it from a customer for the weekend. They couldn't get a second one, and they couldn't get a green laser. So they ended up bringing 1 NIDEC laser. I was prepared naturally for 1 set of camera and optics for the NIDEC lasers was the default plan when I left here. So knowing that they're counting on me for 1 set of non-recording imaging equipment, I brought 4 sets plus a complete diamond system.
Smart.
So I think I got 5x backup here. I have enough with me to make a course happen if no one else has any video at all.
Right.
And then Carleton brought 2 combination YAG SLT lasers and 2 Takagi slit lamps, which is in the United States are Marco slit lamps, with some imaging that they got from a local person, basically a one-man shop who, I think the guy actually builds the cameras. He takes board cameras and he puts cases around them, and he makes his own camera. The beam splitter, probably he made that as well. The software, wouldn't surprise me if that were part of the one-man band.
Wow.
But the point is the approach, I'm pretty sure the person's skill set was not software development. I suspect that was the bolt-on piece, and that probably this person was
more mechanical in nature, and
right.
the builder,
right.
the type who can take mechanical, electrical systems and get something put together with it.
So after they set up their stuff, we looked at the video, and there were spots that were blooming. It was a little bit tough to see. The resolution wasn't quite what we usually produce, so I just mentioned, why don't we try one of my cameras on one of these and just see what we get. And so I said, sure, that's fine. So we plugged it in, and it was like, oh. And he's like, can we do the other one too? Yes, we can.
Just so happens.
How about the green laser? I got one for that as well. So in the end, then we put our imaging on the green laser on both the SLTs, and then on the NIDEC, of course, and then the diamond system. When they took the green laser off on Saturday and converted it over to an SLT laser for Sunday workshops, then we put our diamond system on that. So we ended up using everything I brought. And if I'd had one more, we probably would have done gonioscopy lounge as well.
Nice.
So we did have plenty of imaging so that everybody could see what was going on. And I think that...
And one of the distributors hired in like 55-inch TVs or something on stands or something. So they some props to them for thinking about the AV problem and displays and things like that.
And to be fair to them, they went out and got this video equipment about 3 weeks before, when they found out that they wanted to have something to make sure that it would happen. And obviously they didn't know us at the time, but they went out and bought something just so that they could at least put a picture on a screen,
right,
and have a chance at making it work. So they definitely were committed to the process and committed to the success of the venture. They just didn't know what was possible with imaging until we showed up.
Well, I love the message that you got after the event, that the cat's out of the bag, and it's like the whole world knows, and at least over in UK, like everybody, social media wise, it's out there.
Yeah, one of the doctors there has he's got at least 10,000 Instagram followers.
And I'm looking at this note going, and over 300 WhatsApp messages. Are either of you on WhatsApp?
Well, I am.
He is from his kids. I haven't gone there yet.
Well, because figuring out your phone plan in a foreign country, and $10 a day to just,
sure,
text and voice, whatever. We use WhatsApp most of the time. But they had a group, the 25 people that were there, over the past probably year or so. They formed a WhatsApp group so that they could all communicate. And that's where announcements were posted. And if you have to modify on the fly, that's how they let everybody know, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah, that was the broadcast channel.
Right, exactly.
Very cool.
And then Instagram, this doctor has a very strong sneaker game. He had some shoes that were fantastic. And apparently that's part of what he's known for is
branding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
We need to hook him and Dr. Craig Thomas up, and they can.
Oh, the shoe game.
The shoe game, yeah.
The sneaker
versus the
canvas
dress shoe.
versus the leather.
Right.
Yeah. We could kick off quite an event.
Oh.
Okay, that's the groaner for the day.
Kudos, my brother.
Well done.
But anyway, you transfer that many Instagram followers into optometry, and you put out some laser material, and I guess apparently we blew up the internet that night.
Very good. Congratulations. Because, those that are listening get it. Like, that you're on social. When we go outside of these walls and I tell people, like, yeah, they do digital imaging systems for optometrists. That's a thing. I'm like, yes, it's a thing. But if you're not in the world, in your industry, if you're not in your world,
it's a very small thing.
It's a very small thing. It's
we're not taking over Apple yet.
Good luck.
We're coming for you, Tim.
So okay, you Kent brought up the board. What are these things? Is that your leftovers from London? Are these notes that you didn't want to forget up there?
That was just a quick reminder. There's a few. Anytime you go somewhere and you do some things, there's a few stories.
Well, let's lead off with Christy asked a question. What did you do? What was your role there? So I think that's appropriate for the Elman blow.
So,
Oh my gosh.
ideally, the role of a good technical person is to be invisible, and for everyone to think that you're not necessary. And if you can make everything run smoothly so that no one sees you do anything, then that means you were successful. Because, you've done everything in advance. You've got it all set up. It works flawlessly. And then
It's just like magic.
And then you just disappear into the background and no one sees you. That would be perfect. That wasn't quite exactly what happened. So the surgical part of the course, you have an Elman radio frequency wand, basically.
So it is like magic.
It is like magic.
It's about 10 3/4 inches, dragon
No,
bone,
it's a
dragon bone heart.
right. So the Harry Potter photo exhibit, that's a whole nother part of London. But you do have a handpiece with interchangeable tips for various applications, for cutting, for coagulating, whatever. And typically you practice on steaks.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want something that's
Fleshy.
right?
Sure,
It needs to react the
yeah.
same way, but you don't want to be chopping off skin
So wait,
tags
hang
on each
on.
other.
So a steak reacts the same way as my eyeball does?
No, any
like
tissue.
skin. Like some of these
Oh,
procedures
okay.
are like if you have a bump, like on your eyelid
okay.
or under here, and it's something that it's like, oh, I don't want that anymore. It makes me look old. I want to take that off. This is part of the advanced procedure they're learning how to do, and it's classified as surgery because it is you're cutting or removing something from a human, so it's a surgical procedure. And
these
this
are-
instrument is a clever solution for that.
So these are minor office procedures. Typically, part of the reason for the injections course is so that you learn to inject anesthetic underneath the bump, and then you can now remove the bump.
Okay.
And so they had a room with 3 Elman units and then a vacuum, basically, to evacuate the smoke, because when you're burning, and now you get that charred steak smell and everybody gets hungry.
I was going to say that would be a great partner up with a
It's not
barbecue
sponsored
guy.
by Texas Roadhouse here, but
But it could be.
Okay, anyway, digress.
One of the guys took the ring tip and he was scooping out little troughs of tissue, and someone asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm making appetizers." So anyway, they had this, and now when you travel internationally, voltage is important.
Yes.
Most computer things now have what's called an international power supply, or a wide-ranging input. So 100 volts to 240 volts, 50 or 60 hertz. You can pretty much plug that in anywhere. As long as the plug fits, the power supply will work and your device will work.
yeah, the power supply does the magic of converting and translating it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, to whatever the onboard
whatever
electronics need for
But you
voltage
still
and
need
current.
that,
But you need a plug adapter or something just to
adapter
physically
kit.
change, to get from the source to your device.
From your North American plug to whatever country you're in plug.
Right.
You just have a little plug adapter.
Gotcha.
You plug your thing into one end, the other end goes in the wall, and ta-da. The problem with these things these were the North American versions of the Elman units and the vacuum, which are 120 volt only. So if you plug that into a 240 volt wall socket, bad things happen. Yes. So the organizers provided some transformers that would convert 240 volt from the wall into 120 volt output. And about 5 minutes into that lab, I got a call. "Hey, Wes, could you take a look at this?" I'm like, "What is it?" "Well, it's this black box that smells like burning plastic."
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I said, "Yeah, that smells like burning plastic." "What did you do to it?" And they said, "Well, we just had it plugging in, and then these things stopped working." I was like, "Aha." So let's look at these 3 things. Well, the Elman units.
Well, first you have to say they had a second one, and they were getting ready to just swap it out and plug in a second one.
Right.
After they plugged in the unit, it'd been working for about 5 to 10 minutes, then it burned out.
This would be that whole definition of insanity. Doing the same thing
it
over
could have just
and
been the
over.
first one was bad. And so you get your spare out and you use your spare. I said, wait a minute.
Let's
Time out.
figure out what went bad.
Let's look at what we've got plugged in here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 Elman units. How much power do they take? Nobody seemed to know. Let's look on the back panel. 2 of them were blank. One of them explained in cutting mode, 120 watts. And down to in coagulating mode, it was maybe 70 or something. 90 when you're mixing between the two. So you look at that and you say 120 times 3 is 360 watts. What's the capacity of this transformer? 300 watts. Okay, we're 20% over. That probably still works. Most engineers give you headroom. It's probably not melting because of 3 Elman units. What about this vacuum? 10 amps, 120 volts. Since it's a resistive, it's a motor, it's probably not exactly in sync. But even with a reasonable power factor, you're going to figure out that that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 watts, plus or minus. Up to could have been as much as
a gross
1,200.
12. The gross definition of watts is volts times amps. Just a gross, if you take 120 volts times 10 amps, you're going to pull a max power of 1,200 watts.
If the voltage and current
if the voltage
waveforms
and
are aligned,
currents
if
are
it's a
perfectly
resistive load.
synced.
Well,
Yeah, if it's
I
completely
kind of
synced.
very quickly in my head went, I'm not great at math, but that tells me.
Yeah. So 1,200 is much bigger than 300.
Yeah, it is.
You probably don't have a 4x coverage factor on this thing.
Right.
Thus the burning plastic smell. Probably some insulation on a transformer that was melting. So I said, before we plug this one in, we're going to have to make some choices. You can run nothing at all and be fine. We can plug in up to 3 Elman units and statistically probably be fine. But as soon as you plug in that vacuum, you're going to blow up the next one too. In about 5 minutes would be my guess. So what can we do here? Well, we had some floor fans. And so we said, let's put those floor fans up on the table and let's blow across your steaks toward the door. Because we have to also keep the fire alarm from going off. If the fire alarm goes off, we're going to have to pause the course for about an hour.
So the fans worked as the vacuum?
So we put the fans blowing across the steak, fan the door a little bit to get some airflow, and just evacuate that burning steak smell and dilute it
Ingenuity.
with all the other air moving in the building.
Let's just put it this way. The course blowed. It didn't suck.
Oh. Okay.
But the course went on. There was a second
where's
course.
that one?
So yes, we did manage to still keep 2 Elman units running. We decided not to risk the third one just in case everybody was cutting at the same time.
They're very smart. Okay, there's 2 other things listed up there.
So yes, so that was the Elman blow. We had to improvise a little bit there. It wasn't exactly the way we drew it up on paper. The next course, I'm sure, will have a 1,500 watt transformer.
Yeah.
After action report, things to fix.
Right.
That. Yeah.
Or you get the UK version of the Elman unit or the vacuum.
Yeah, that would probably be the easier solution is just have the version that's designed to run on 240 and then you don't have a problem. Plug it in and go.
Yeah. So we have a way forward for the next course.
I mean, but this is one of those things that, if you're in your own territory, you don't think about that. That's not something but you as an engineer do. Like, wait, foreign country, different voltage, watts, amps, all that kind of stuff. Okay.
I was happy that they knew enough not to just use a plug converter and blow the Elman units. That was that was nice.
Yeah.
They got that far. It's just the capacity and analysis didn't quite happen. But that's part of the learning process.
You didn't burn a building down, so yay!
We didn't set off the smoke alarm and make everybody evacuate either. So
Because that probably would have cost another 3 COVID tests before you could get back in.
Okay, so I'm going to save my favorite one up there for last. So let's go with Shetler Flash.
So the faculty for this course from Oklahoma, Dr. Nate Lighthizer always does SLT. Dr. Joseph Shetler did both the PI and the YAG capsulotomy this time since Dr. Rich Castillo was home in Oklahoma. And then Dr. Neil Whittle was doing gonioscopy with me. So after the course is over on Sunday and we get everything taken down and back to the hotel via London Black Cab, fabulous service, by the way. Those guys, they know the way around. They know how to reroute around congestion. It's all top of the head. They're not studying a GPS. They just know.
Oh, wow.
True professionals in every sense of the word. Very impressive London transportation network. That really made a mark. That was impressive. But you get back to the hotel, you take 30 minutes to kind of breathe in, breathe out. Course is over. And we met in the lobby about 10 till 6 and said, okay, our goal this evening is we need fish and chips in a London pub because you have to do that at least once.
At least once.
Whether you like fish or not, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter. And as long as you understand that chips are French fries,
Yep.
everybody's enthused about that. And then we're going to go around, walk around, see some stuff, do some things. And Dr. Shetler was told by Nate's wife, Jenna, that he needed to make sure that Nate actually got out and saw some of London before he went home, because you're not allowed to just go there, do the course, and go home. You actually have to, see some culture, experience some things.
I mean, ideally, yes.
Right. But, to be fair, Nate's point was Tom Brady's playing at the 9:25 tonight.
Hence
and
the pub.
Well, it's not on TV in London, but
Sometimes you can request that stuff, depending on if they've got that service or not. Anyway.
So anyway, he had his channel already figured out how he was going to watch the game.
Oh.
But he also indicated he was willing to skip that if we were out and about and doing stuff. Don't let that stop us. So
Very good.
But he did know 9:25 kickoff to the minute. So, definitely Tom Brady fan, and in this game, obviously going into overtime was worth it. Anyway,
you guys are in London. Okay. We were like, I get it. It's a football game.
Once a fan, always a fan.
Sure. That's diehard fan right there.
But he knew that we weren't going to keep him out until midnight. He was going to get back at least for the second half. So, not a big deal. But anyway, had a great dinner. That's another story. But afterwards, we walked down toward the river, took one of the walking bridges across the Thames. Made a little loop around. Got to see Big Ben under construction, covered in scaffolding, but you could still see the top of it, and cathedral next to it. So Neil and Sarah decided that they needed to have a photo with a nice background, so we took one of those. And then Dr. Shetler and his wife Karen decided they needed a photo too, so took one of those.
And Nate was taking the photos.
Nate was taking the photos, yes. And then Dr. Shetler decided that he needed to get a photo of Nate with the background just to prove
that he was
to Nate's wife
out.
that he did get him out of the hotel, away from the TV, and out and about in London seeing something. So and I scooted in, so it was Nate and I with the background, and we see Dr. Shetler holding the camera, and then we see his fingernail light up. That was the Shetler flash. And so Nate was like, let me see that photo. And our faces are totally gray. You had no idea who it was.
You had the ghost of Christmas past looking at
you got some of the background. Background was great, but who are these people? They're gray blobs in front because the finger over the iPhone flash. Yeah,
right.
So we had to take that photo again.
I am very glad that this ended with a photography thing.
And then Nate leans over and says, when he was in college, the Shetler flash was something totally different. See, you thought it was over, didn't you?
I did. I thought it was over. I was wrong. That's so funny. So you guys had a great time, got to see sights. Now, was that your first time in London? Have you ever been?
That was my first, actually.
Okay.
Yes. And my daughter Victoria was there a couple of years ago. And so she prepped me on, there's some things to see, definitely. And if we'd had a chance to do Tower of London and Crown Jewels, that was something.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. But we're going to get to go back, definitely.
Yeah, she participated in a choir trip, right? So
right.
It was a performance tour where they do it.
300 U.S. high school kids descending upon various foreign countries and trying not to leave too much of a wrecking ball behind.
Yeah.
We all love it when the kids come around.
Well, these children were hand-selected by their choir directors and orchestra leaders to
not ruin international relations.
Not set them back more than 2 years at a time, because in 2 years they repeat the trip.
Yeah.
No international incidents. Okay,
Right.
Very good.
Right.
Very good.
So, but part of going to a foreign country, of course, is learning the language. And what I discovered is I don't know how to pronounce any of the words I thought I knew.
I remember going to Ireland for my 30th birthday, which has been quite a handful of years ago at this point. And Okay. Thanks, Wes. And somebody warned me ahead of time when I got there. We did it. I was part of a tour, and they told me before we did something that was local, they're like, hey, just so you know, if somebody asks you if you want to have some crack, you say yes, because crack means fun. It's like, okay. And sure enough, they're like, oh, are you having lots of crack while you're here? I was like, well, yes, I am.
Is that what they got the expression that Americans are nosy or what?
I don't know. That was the weirdest, like the language translation of words and things. So is that where Keena's mustard is going?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the basics. If you want French fries, you ask for chips. If you want chips, you ask for crisps. If you want a cookie, you ask for a biscuit. Unless you want a chocolate chip cookie, which is actually a cookie.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, you have to have the food navigation.
And it's not takeout, it's takeaway.
Takeaway, yeah. Mm-hmm. I got that right off.
Yep. Okay, so
I was talking to Dr. Johnson, and he mentioned something about Keena's mustard, and I had no idea what he was talking about until I got home that night and Googled it.
Thanks, Google.
Right. But apparently it means very enthusiastic. So
okay.
They were excited, enthusiastic about the course. Keena's mustard.
Keena's mustard. What kind of mustard, though? I just need to know. It's like the
I'm
Grey
thinking
Poupon.
a really spicy sharp mustard.
Well, I'm thinking the Grey Poupon stuff. Although that would be, for UK. Remember that was
mustard.
That commercial
Right.
in the UK? Yeah.
Yeah, but the Dijon mustard is actually French.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I am crossing all kinds of borders here.
But yes, you're right. The commercials here, they were always in the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Which is a very British car. But confusing.
Oh, the things.
Yeah.
So, okay, since this is our last podcast of the year, how are things wrapping up for TelScreen around here as we go into the holidays?
I still don't have a present for my wife. I'm really in trouble.
If y'all have any ideas,
www.telscreen.com. Hit the info form and make a suggestion. Presents for Kent's wife.
Leave us a message on Facebook. Don't forget to follow us. Just say, hey, share that with us. Tag us in that.
But on the business side, we've managed to keep a little bit of inventory to make it through end of year. So I think we're probably going to come out even. In times of COVID, running out of stuff is a very real possibility. We've been working since August on our end of year inventory just to make sure we actually have stuff here.
Right.
So we can still handle a few more things. It seems like every year we're working on New Year's Eve to get that last install done to meet the letter of the tax law so that someone else can have a Merry Christmas and a happy tax deduction.
Right. We talked about that in our last podcast with financing. That was good. That was a good one. Awesome. Well, anything else from London?
So much more. I'm not sure we can tell it all in the air, though.
I got it.
I haven't had my argument yet.
There'd be a lot more notes on that board, I'm sure.
The one thing I will say is after having been there, Monty Python, Benny Hill, all the classic English comedians are twice as funny now.
Oh, okay.
Just being in the environment, you get it.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that were from England, and one podcasting friend, and she's just fascinated sometimes about Kentucky. So we talk about Kentucky things a lot. She's like, oh, it's not like that here. And they love horse racing too, so it's one of our things that we talk about a lot. But yeah, interesting. I've never got to do London. I've been to Ireland. I just didn't get to keep going over. So it'd be fun to, you need some marketing materials for that. You totally need an entourage, Wes. Next time you go.
Well, I did take a few photos, but probably not nearly enough.
Probably not. So we need to get those out so people can enjoy them.
See if you can get a copy of the Shetler Flash.
We'll attach that with the episode.
I suspect he deleted that from his camera already. He didn't want any proof of the finger over the flash.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, you guys have been a treat as usual. So any last words as we wrap up this episode?
Come visit us at www.telscreen.com.
Baby.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Show Don't Tell. I have been your facilitator, Christy, and you've been listening to Wes Harris and Kent Harris, the engineer minds of TelScreen, creators of the newly released Diamond iRes digital imaging systems. Did you like this episode? Leave us a great review. And follow us on Facebook, Spotify, Apple, or find us on your favorite podcasting channels. The easy way is to simply visit TelScreen.com. That's TelScreen, TelScreen.com for all the latest episodes under the blog tab. And thanks again for listening to this episode.